those people to pick the last of the celery off that plate. It's good celery. I had a whole bunch. All right. And now we're going to present the Citizenship Award. The Citizenship Award goes to an individual whom Pandora's collective feels has excelled in their support of writers within our community. This year's recipient is Candice James and will be presented by Ariadne Sawyer. Ariadne is an author of 3 books, a speaker, and a radio host and producer. She is the president of the World Poetry Reading Series Society, co-host and co-founder of World Poetry, founder and organizer of World Poetry Canada International. Her upcoming book is Love Poems to the World. She's a winner of the $5,000 prestigious McLean Hunter Award for Programs of Excellence. Please welcome her to the stage, Ariadne.
I'm very honored to be asked to give the Citizenship Award to Candice because I was a past recipient of it, so it's one of the awards I really honor. I would like to thank Pandora's Collective and also Word for their great support of poetic and writers and all sorts of literary adventures as well. And Candice James. She's the new Westminster's Poet Laureate. Serving her second third-year term of office. Her first publication, A Spit in the Water, Fiddlehead, 1979, was the start of 9 collections of poetry. And the most recent is Merging Dimensions, Escasas Edition 2015. She is the founder, director, and past president of the Royal City Literary Arts Society, past president of the Federation of BC Writers, founder of Poetry in the Park, and co-founder of Poetic Justice. She enjoys life as a visual artist as well as a singer, songwriter, and musician. Further detailed information can be found under Candice James at wikipedia.org. But I would like to say she's much more than all her titles, awards, and published book of poetry. She's a warm, caring, and supportive light in Canada and elsewhere. Coming back from a cross-Canada tour sharing her poetry throughout the country, Candice is a worthy recipient of this prestigious award. She has transformed the city of New Westminster into a vibrant poetic and literary community with events, book launchings, and participates in many community events. And for World Poetry, New Westminster, she's been wonderful. She's done opening poems, and she's going to be on the radio, the World Poetry Cafe, next week, so that will be exciting to have her back. It was after she was on the show, we had people writing in from all over saying it was the best writer's advice they'd ever heard. So it's really a tribute to her. A mentor to many and a supporter to all, not only to New Westminster, but to BC, Canada, and the world. She fits the criteria perfectly. It is my honor to present the award to Candice James.
Thank you, Ariadne, and I guess this is the award. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, that is just gorgeous. I really appreciate this. It's always nice to be recognized by your peers, and sometimes I think I get a little more recognition than I deserve, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate everybody in the poetic community, the literary community. I think everybody, even if they're not a writer, they've got that in them. They have something to give, something to share. Just like we don't all like chocolate cake, some of us like white. Well, you can't, there's got to be writers that are going to appeal to different people, and I think we need to keep telling people when they say, oh, you know, I can't write, oh, I'm not a poet. You say, you've got it in you, come on out to an open mic, just come on out. More and more people have come out to Poetic Justice and Poetry in the Park, got up on stage for the first time, and sometimes I badgered them into it and say, come on up, come on up. Jared's one of them there. And, you know, some of them, I've watched them grow. I've seen their poetry turn from decent, nice poetry into something really good, something they can really give to people, and people love it. We all have poetry in us. We all have writing in us. We all have stories, memories, tributes. We have all these things. And I started out years ago in 1978 writing poems in the car because my daughter sort of had to be dropped out of daycare when she was young, and I had to take her to special early childhood education, and they only wanted myself and the actual educator involved, not that daycare. So I had to drive a long way to take her there every day, and I had to spend about 4 hours in the car waiting for her, so I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, because I couldn't go shopping, too much money. So a friend of mine, I took a look at the stuff and thought it was good, and I said, no, it's not very good. So she, thank heaven she did, she sent it away for me. And the interesting thing is she sent it as 25 poems to 3 different presses back in 1978. And one of them was Oberon Press. I don't even know if it's still around, but they wrote back and said, we just don't like it, it's just not for us. And the second one was Coach House, and they said, well, we do like it, but you haven't been in any periodicals, and that's one of our criteria, you must be published in a periodical. But go ahead and do that, and then send something back. And the third one was Fiddlehead. And they didn't write back, they just phoned me. And this voice on the phone was Fred Cogswell, and he said, oh, I like this stuff very much. I'd like to do a chapbook. How many do you have? Well, at that point I had about 100, but I was even into embellishing back then. I said, oh, about 300 or so. And I thought, oh, that, sounds good. And so he said, oh, that's good. I'll be out there in 3 weeks. I'd like to see them. God. So I really spent a lot of those 3 weeks. I didn't sleep near as much as usual. I was just writing. And by the time he got out here, I had 304. So saved my bacon. So we met down in Vancouver. I'm not quite sure where it was. Somewhere down in Kitsilano, a hotel. Anyway, not the room. Down in the lounge, or the bar, or wherever. But it was down there. Oh my goodness. Anyway, he looked at the rest of the stuff there, and we actually had this whole little corner area and all kinds of papers. And he left that day with 116 of my poems and said, I'm going to publish these. So I was really, really very thrilled, because I thought, wow, this is really nice. But I didn't realize at the time how very, very, very fortunate I was. Because I didn't know much about the industry. I just knew I liked to write poems, and somebody sent them away, and oh, isn't that nice? They're going to be published. But I was really, really lucky, because Fred was an icon. He was very well known. He started Fiddlehead. He was one of the founders of Leader Canadian Poets, and I didn't know any of this stuff. So he published the book, and we kept in contact, and I'd send him some, he asked me to send him poems, and I'd send him some, and he'd correct them, and some I liked his corrections, and some I didn't. And I looked back over the ones that I didn't like what he'd done. And I looked back over them about 2 years ago, and I thought, my God, he was so right. At the time, I didn't see it, he really improved them, but at the time, you're there, that's your poem, and anyway. I've grown a lot since those days. I can take criticism now so constructively, and I welcome it. I actually welcome it, because it makes me look at my poem that I thought was finished with new eyes, and many, many times I realized it wasn't finished. So every bit of criticism I get from somebody is very, very welcome to me because it helps me build. And I try and do that for everybody I come in contact with. I think we all have poetry in us. Anybody that wants my help gets it. And I try to tell them up front, when I give you any criticism, it's not because I'm trying to put you down, it's because I'm trying to help you. I didn't take it. I could, but I just kind of poo-pooed it. But nobody's going to take the time to criticize your work unless they care. And it's not that easy to find people who really give a damn about whether you succeed or not. I do. Anybody that wants my help will get it, unabashedly, at any time. I try and do the best I can for people, start things up, get them out of the closet, get them up on the stage, get them becoming everything they can possibly be. And then I feel like I've done something. So I'm going to, I can't really individually thank everybody. There's Kyle Hogg, Bonnie Nish, City of New Westminster, Francie Luan, Janet Quammen. There's just so many. Dennis Boland, Orndine Fulton, everybody. You know, everybody's been so good to me on my journey. Each person that's crossed my path has helped build a bridge for me to be where I am today and where I'm going. And I love you all very, very, very much. So because I love poetry so much, I'm going to close with one of my favorite poems, and I'll get off the stage so you can get to the good stuff and find out who got what at the auction. And this is called Tumbling Down. It's about arts in general throughout the ages. Shakespeare said it with quill and ink and inspiration's golden link, and the words came tumbling down in sonnets and verses, plays and prose, in theaters and traveling minstrel shows. His passion still rages and spills from the pages onto the glitter of sound sets and stages, tumbling down, still tumbling down. Mozart said it with notes and keys, in compositions and symphonies, and the music came tumbling down. I'm illuminating the darkness undressing, saints, sinners, and lovers confessing the agonies and ecstasies in serenades and rhapsodies, tumbling down still, tumbling down. Michelangelo said it with paints and brush, guided by an angel's touch, and the colors came tumbling down onto the Sistine Chapel's ceiling, saints, cherubs, and angels kneeling in a masterpiece of holiness, saving grace and forgiveness, tumbling down still, tumbling down. Artists, musicians, poets, and sages, droplets of gold on history's pages, tumbling down throughout the ages. Their world of beauty surrounds us still. Their legacy is a living will, tumbling down, forever tumbling down. Thank you all very much for this wonderful award, for listening to me, and just simply for being you.